This is the story of a simple sailor named Joe, who, just like every other day, takes his small boat out to sea to catch fish. But that day, circumstances suddenly change. Despite the clear weather, within just a few minutes, thick fog spreads all around, and he loses his way. That's when Joe spots something in the distance, an old, deserted boat floating in the water. Out of curiosity, he ties his boat to the side of that ship and decides to go inside and take a look. The moment he steps inside, he gets horrified. The entire ship is completely empty, not a single sound, just a terrifying silence. That makes his heart beat faster. The strange thing was, everything on the ship was absolutely fresh and organized. Food was laid out, dishes were clean, clothes were neatly placed, and it seemed like someone had been there just moments ago. But no one was in sight. Joe tries to start the ship's engine, but it doesn't respond. Coming face to face with an empty ship in the middle of this vast ocean makes him even more worried. He tries looking around with binoculars, hoping to spot another boat, but the fog is so thick that nothing is visible. Finally, he goes to the control room and tries to call for help on the radio. He sends out a message saying that this ship is stuck at sea, and if anyone can hear his voice, please respond immediately. After sending the message, Joe comes up to the deck to return to his boat, but the moment he looks down, his face turns white. His own small boat isn't there, even though he had tied it securely. The thick fog has also suddenly disappeared, and the sky has become completely clear. It's now afternoon. He can't understand how and when all this happened. Now he has no other choice. He returns to the mysterious ship and tries to understand with the help of maps where exactly he has ended up. He soon realizes that without fixing the engine, escaping is impossible. He searches the entire ship for tools, and after hours of hard work, fixes the engine. For him, this is the most relieving moment. But the problem isn't over yet. He tries the radio again, but no answer comes. Exhausted, Joe comes up to the top and suddenly feels the need to urinate. He doesn't see anyone around, so he thinks he'll just go to the edge of the ship. But the moment he stands at the edge, someone suddenly pushes him hard. He falls straight into the sea. In the strong current, he tries to come back up, but with great difficulty, he grabs onto a reel hanging from the ship and saves himself from drowning. Gathering courage, he climbs back onto the ship. He hasn't even fully recovered when he goes down to use the toilet. Suddenly, someone slams the door shut. At first, he thought it might have been the wind, but when he tries to get out, the lock is closed from inside. Seeing this, his breath catches. He tries every way to open it. He even takes out a coin from his pocket, but nothing works. Now he's certain that he's not alone on this ship. Someone is there, who isn't visible, but is moving around him. The intention of some unknown force to trouble him becomes clear. He shouts loudly, "Whoever you are, please open the door. I just came to look." But he gets no answer. Between fear and restlessness, he opens a small bathroom cabinet, hoping to find something that can loosen the screws of the door lock. But he is completely horrified when he sees bloodstains inside the cabinet. His whole body trembles and the atmosphere feels terrifying. Still, he picks up a pair of scissors and tries to open the door. Suddenly, he hears someone talking through the radio behind the door, trying to contact him. He desperately tries to open the door, but he fails. So he leans toward the small toilet window and tries to look outside. In the distance, a massive cargo ship is coming rapidly toward them. It's heading straight for a collision. Joe understands that if there's a collision, he won't survive. He somehow tries to attract attention, takes off his shirt and waves it vigorously, but such a huge ship can't see him. Now he has only one option left: to stop the ship. That's when his eyes fall on a long rope hanging near the window. He immediately thinks of a solution, tying the rope. He throws it into the water, hoping the ship's speed will stop. But instead, the trouble increases. The rope gets tangled in the engine's blade, and its loop wraps directly around Joe's neck. The strong pull starts cutting off his breath. However, at the last moment, he somehow saves himself by cutting the rope with a tool. His throat had turned completely red. His breath had been cut off, and he had almost died. But gathering his remaining strength, he freed himself. The rope getting stuck in the engine suddenly slowed the boat's speed, but this relief lasted only moments because the massive cargo ship showed no signs of stopping. Within seconds, that heavy ship crashed into his boat with tremendous force. The collision was so terrible that the entire ship shook and Joe fell to the floor. He got a deep injury on his head and immediately lost consciousness. When he regained consciousness, he found himself back in that same bathroom, where water started to fill inside the bathroom. But what terrified him most was that this water wasn't salty ocean water, but completely fresh and clean, as if someone was deliberately trying to break him mentally. Exhausted and broken, Joe pleaded, "Whoever you are, please let me leave from here." But there was that same silence throughout the ship, which scared him even more. Desperate with hunger and thirst, he drank the remaining water from the shower, but within moments that ran out. When he tried the sink, the water taste had changed. Now it was salty. He realized that somewhere on the ship there's a leak, and ocean water has started coming in. Understanding this, his panic increased, because this meant the boat won't stay afloat much longer. He tried to open the door, but it was locked from outside. It seemed that some invisible force was watching his every move and stopping him from getting out. By nighttime, the water kept rising, and he was very tired. Finally, from exhaustion, he fell asleep. At night, a fierce storm hit the sea, which shook the ship, and Joe got several new injuries. In the morning, water had reached up to his face, just a few more inches, and he would have drowned. Suddenly, he heard a faint click, like a lock opening. He turned the handle, and the water pressure was so terrible that the door completely broke and fell down. This strong flow gave him a chance to escape, and he somehow reached the ship's roof to breathe fresh air. Now he was completely sure that this ship wasn't normal. Some invisible evil force was controlling it, and for some reason it didn't want to let him go. Both physically and mentally, he was broken. The water below was continuously rising, and the ship could sink anytime. In this fear, he thought of a way. He picked up the air bags and the broken bathroom door and made a small raft. Then he tied it properly and collected food, water, and tools and placed them on the raft. Without looking back, he left that ship and, sitting on the raft, started moving forward. But even after several hours, he couldn't get very far from that big ship. The strangest thing was, that ship which he had seen sinking in the morning was still standing in the same condition, without moving. He couldn't understand why it wasn't sinking despite such a big leak. That's when a thought came to his mind. If it hasn't sunk yet, then why not just fix it? He returned near the ship and first fixed the leak. Then, with pipes and tools, he made a temporary pump and slowly removed the water. After this, he also repaired the remaining parts, so there would be no trouble ahead. After completing the work, he tried the radio again, but no answer came. Tired and defeated, he returned to the control room and started looking at the maps. When he started the engine, his hopes were crushed again. The ship didn't move even an inch, as if the ocean had stuck it in place. He was completely broken, when suddenly his eyes fell on another ship in the distance. Seeing this, a ray of hope awakened inside him. He immediately picked up the raft and with full strength started moving toward that ship. But suddenly, that mysterious boat started moving toward him dangerously, as if some invisible hand was pushing it toward Joe. Joe increased his speed, but the mysterious boat became even faster. Just before the collision, Joe made a final attempt, jumped from the raft, and started swimming toward another ship floating away. But by the time he reached there, that ship had completely disappeared. He was now completely certain that there's some evil force on this mysterious boat that won't let him leave under any circumstances. He took an oath that even if it costs him his life, he won't return to that ship. But the ocean water was gradually getting colder. His body was going numb. Dolphins were swimming below, but the situation was so bad that staying in water for too long was impossible. Shivering from cold, feeling completely helpless, finally out of compulsion, he decided to swim back toward that same ship from which he was trying to escape. He had become so weak and sick that he didn't have strength left to think. He quietly wrapped himself in a blanket, lay down in the ship's room, and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Joe's first wish was to get out of this terrifying ship at any cost, but the moment he got up, his heart sank. The room's door was closed again. He was trapped inside. This new trouble started breaking him even more. He couldn't understand why this ship was doing this to him. What force had imprisoned him? His eyes suddenly fell on a small wooden cabinet in the corner. As soon as he opened it, a narrow path appeared going upward, a ventilation shaft through which he might be able to get out. Joe squeezed into that small cabinet, which was an extremely cramped, dark, and dusty storage area. He tried to climb up several times, but each time he slipped and fell down. While falling, he got injuries on his back, hands, and legs, but he didn't stop, falling again and again, steadying himself. Finally, he reached the ventilation window. He pushed the window with full strength, gave it jerks, but it didn't move, it seemed, as if someone had deliberately sealed it shut from outside. Meanwhile, he realized that air was also running out in this closed space. Breathing was becoming difficult. The way back down was also finished, because of the door being closed. Now he started feeling that perhaps this would become his final place. At that very moment, that same mysterious click sound echoed again, exactly the same sound that he had heard several times before, and with that same click, the vent's window suddenly opened by itself. Joe didn't waste even a moment and quickly got out. As the cold, fresh air filled his lungs, he calmed down for a little while. When he looked down from above, he understood that this ship was moving on its own toward a small, deserted island. Hope sparked in Joe's mind. Maybe this was his chance to escape the cursed ship. When the ship reached shore, he jumped off immediately. Standing on land, he felt someone must be hiding on this island. Angry, he grabbed a wooden stick and searched everywhere. But soon he realized the island was completely empty. No huts, no fires, no footprints. No one was there. His anger turned to fear. Who was behind all this? As he left the island, he saw something strange. The mysterious ship that brought him here was now sailing peacefully across the ocean, like it was hunting for another victim. Joe became certain the ship wasn't controlled by humans, but by some dark force. He had to find a way off this island fast. He climbed to the island's highest peak. In the distance, he could see another island, but it was too far away. He walked around to the back of the island and came down. Then his breath stopped. He had reached the exact place where everything started. The same shore, the same atmosphere. Most shocking of all, his own small boat was tied there, in the exact same condition as when he left it. Even the people around were doing their normal work, like nothing had happened. Joe was stunned. The fear, the ship's mystery, the locked rooms, the voices, the dangers, the deserted island. Was it all real? Or was it some terrible illusion? But his wounds, his exhaustion, his breath, and his memories proved it wasn't a dream. The question remained, how did his boat return? And what was the real truth of this mysterious island?